Hola, buenos días a todos. Vamos a dar comienzo. En primer lugar, muchas gracias a todos por conectaros a este seminario web que vamos a realizar hoy sobre Research Professional. En primer lugar, me gustaría presentarme para los que no nos conozcáis. Mi nombre es Esther Varella, soy la responsable comercial de la empresa Exlibris. Exlibris es la empresa que adquirió Research Professional hace un par de años y contamos también para la sesión de hoy con los especialistas del producto, que son mis compañeros Luke George y Nikki Cooper. Lo que vamos a hacer es, en primer lugar, empezaré yo con una presentación del producto y después daré paso a mi compañero Luke, que os hará una demo en vivo de Research Professional para que podáis conocer mejor la herramienta y entender cuáles son los beneficios que os puede aportar. Y acabaremos al final con una tanda de preguntas y respuestas para resolver vuestras dudas y cualquier comentario que nos queráis trasladar. Así que damos comienzo. Ok, Luke. Bien, en primer lugar, ¿qué es Research Professional? Research Professional es una plataforma en línea que incluye una amplia base de datos de oportunidades de financiación para proyectos de investigación. Esto sería la frase con la que de forma rápida definimos Research Professional, pero en realidad es mucho más que esto porque incluye también un importante servicio de noticias sobre políticas de investigación y cómo estas nuevas políticas pues, influyen en todo lo que es la financiación de los proyectos de investigación. Se incluye también know-how e información sobre adjudicatarios de las convocatorias, un histórico de adjudicatarios de las diferentes convocatorias. Comentaros también que está disponible on y off campus y que se ofrece para usuarios ilimitados para la institución. Desde investigadores a estudiantes, profesores, el acceso es por IP y es para toda la institución. Ofrecemos single sign-on y también la opción de la carga masiva de usuarios. Cuando una institución suscribe Research Professional, tiene la opción de informar a los usuarios y que ellos se vayan dando de alta uno a uno, o ofrecemos esta posibilidad de realizar una carga masiva de usuarios para asegurarnos de que todos ellos están registrados y que tienen ya una cuenta activa en Research Professional. También comentaros que todos los suscriptores de Research Professional tienen a su disposición un servicio de atención al cliente y que hacemos todo lo que está en nuestra mano para asegurarnos que una vez suscrita, pues que la herramienta se utiliza, que los usuarios la conocen y que que se saca el máximo rendimiento de ella, pues un poco para asegurarnos del éxito y garantizar de esta manera también la renovación. Luke. Disculpar porque tenemos los derechos para pasar las diapositivas los tiene mi compañero Luke, con lo cual me oiréis que le estoy mencionando cada 2 por 3 para que pase a la siguiente diapositiva. Bueno, vamos a ver a quién se dirige Research Professional. Pues realmente se dirige a cualquier institución que realice algún tipo de actividad investigadora. Por supuesto, a universidades, a institutos de investigación, a universidades de ciencias aplicadas, vicerrectores y directores de investigación, por supuesto, pero también a los gestores de investigación, al personal de apoyo en las oficinas de investigación, también a los equipos responsables de la preparación de las propuestas. Todos ellos encontrar un interés distinto, a lo mejor en Research Professional. Contamos, como os comentaba, con esta base de datos de oportunidades de financiación que sin duda será de interés para todos ellos, pero además, pues probablemente los vicerrectores y directores de investigación verán mucho más valor a lo mejor en todo ese servicio de noticias para estar informados de las políticas de investigación, cómo están afectando a las oportunidades de financiación, qué decisiones está tomando la Comisión Europea, pues todo este tipo de información, pues que a lo mejor es más relevante para vicerrectores, directores de investigación, a lo mejor no tanto para el personal más administrativo, que lleva más en la tarea de búsqueda de oportunidades, ¿no? Pero realmente es una base de datos y un servicio mucho más amplio que da respuesta a las necesidades de diferentes usuarios. Después, por supuesto, investigadores principales y, al fin y al cabo, investigadores en cualquier fase de su carrera. Y también es de interés para las mismas entidades financiadoras y también para organismos gubernamentales y empresas que ejerzan algún tipo de actividad investigadora. Luke. Muy bien. para entrar un poquito más en detalle, lo que comentaba en la primera diapositiva, ¿no? De qué es lo que incluye Research Professional, pues por un lado, una parte muy importante es la amplia base de datos de oportunidades de financiación que contiene. Contamos con un equipo editorial en la oficina de Londres que es responsable de realizar las consultas en las fuentes primarias, en las bases de datos de cada una de estas entidades financiadoras, buscar las oportunidades de financiación, filtrarlas, editarlas, codificarlas, de manera que estén disponibles en nuestra base de datos y que sean buscables de una forma sencilla, que permitan hacer esas búsquedas masivas por disciplina, por fecha, por diferentes campos y que nos permitan encontrar la información que necesitamos de una manera sencilla. También se encargan, por ejemplo, de verificar la elegibilidad de esas oportunidades, ¿no? Nos aseguramos de que si una institución española va a consultar Research Professional, pues queremos que las oportunidades que encuentre sean oportunidades que realmente sean relevantes para esa institución y que, por lo tanto, sea elegible, ¿no? Sean oportunidades a las que puede optar y puede presentar una propuesta. Actualmente contamos con más de 22.000 convocatorias provenientes de 13.000 entidades financiadoras distintas y actualmente hay 8.203 convocatorias abiertas para instituciones españolas. Y las oportunidades, tanto las noticias que disponemos como las oportunidades disponibles en la base de datos cubren todas las disciplinas, de manera que si estamos hablando de un departamento de investigación de un hospital o de una facultad de humanidades, todas ellas encontrarán oportunidades de financiación para sus disciplinas en Research Professional. La otra gran pata de Research Professional sería lo que vemos aquí en este globo anaranjado, que es el servicio de noticias, Research Policy and Funding News. Tenemos un equipo de periodistas que trabajan desde nuestra oficina de Londres y después tenemos corresponsales en diferentes puntos, en Bruselas, por ejemplo, que se encargan de informar de todas las nuevas políticas que se llevan a cabo y que afectan a la financiación de proyectos de investigación, decisiones que toma la Comisión Europea, etcétera, etcétera. Otro servicio muy interesante sería el Funding Insight. Lo que hace ese servicio es proporcionar todo el know-how del que disponemos tras 25 años, porque no lo he comentado, pero Research Professional tiene 25 años de historia y todo esto, pues evidentemente, supone un bagaje y un know-how que ponemos a disposición de nuestros suscriptores y que os ayuda a tomar decisiones estratégicas. Pues, por ejemplo, a veces es importante decidir ante una convocatoria de financiación, pues si vale la pena presentar una propuesta, si tengo posibilidades de éxito o no. Y en caso de que sea así, pues os ayuda a preparar esas propuestas con las máximas garantías de éxito, ¿no? De tener más posibilidades de resultar adjudicatario. Otro de los grandes aspectos es la base de datos que comentábamos de adjudicaciones. Contamos con más de 12 años de información sobre los adjudicatarios de las principales entidades financiadoras. Comentábamos que en Research Professional cuenta con 13.000 entidades financiadoras. Para esta otra base de datos de adjudicaciones, lo que hemos hecho es una selección. De estas 13.000 hemos escogido las más significativas, las principales, y de ellas contamos con información de más de 12 años sobre los adjudicatarios de esas convocatorias. Esto es útil pues, porque nos ayuda a quién ha ganado esas convocatorias, cómo, por qué es lo que la organización, la entidad está valorando a la hora de adjudicar sus proyectos y, evidentemente, toda esta información nos es muy útil a la hora de preparar nuestra propuesta. Y, finalmente, este último globo que tenemos en verde nos habla de la tecnología, pues porque, como os he comentado, pues es una amplia base de datos que incluye muchísima información muy relevante para nosotros y para nuestros investigadores, pero también es muy importante saber interactuar con toda esa información y para ello pues disponemos de toda una serie de funcionalidades que os harán la vida más sencilla para poder sacar el máximo beneficio de toda la información que está disponible en Research Professional. Luke, next. Veamos ahora un poquito lo que es el servicio de noticias europeas e internacionales. ¿Qué es lo que cubre Research Professional? Pues cubre todos aquellos aspectos que son relevantes para nuestra actividad investigadora. Por un lado, por supuesto, el escenario político, los cambios políticos y sus implicaciones para la investigación, si van a haber elecciones o si las ha habido, cuál es el impacto que tiene en la financiación de nuestra actividad investigadora, ¿no? Por otro lado, las grandes infraestructuras. Como sabéis, normalmente las infraestructuras llevan asociados grandes proyectos de investigación y es importante que dispongáis también de esta información. Después incluimos muchísima información y noticias sobre los diferentes programas e iniciativas que ya conocéis, pues como el Horizon, European Networks, Digital Europe, etcétera, etcétera. Y es importante que tengáis también esta información. Por supuesto, Open Science, que es el tema de actualidad, ¿no? que tanto está afectando la forma de trabajar y la forma en que realizamos nuestra actividad investigadora. Y finalmente, los aspectos culturales de la investigación, ¿no? Que no por ello son menos importantes, lo que tiene que ver con todo lo que es la investigación responsable y ética, pues también tenéis todas esas noticias e información relevante en este aspecto. Luke, next slide. De acuerdo, esto va relacionado con lo que comentábamos de la base de datos de adjudicaciones. He incluido esta diapositiva para que veáis un poco alguna de esos organismos o esas entidades financiadoras que forman parte de la base de datos de adjudicaciones. Tenéis disponible en nuestra base de datos pues, el histórico de adjudicatarios en estos organismos. Os he incluido también aquí algunos enlaces a nuestra página web donde tenéis mucho más desarrollada toda esta información. Como os enviaré el PowerPoint cuando acabemos la sesión, pues podréis tener acceso a toda esta documentación y bueno, nos podéis trasladar cualquier duda que tengáis. Next, Luke. Bien, aquí no vamos a entrar al detalle, pero son todas las funcionalidades, ¿no? Lo que comentábamos antes, todas esas funcionalidades que nos hacen la vida más fácil y que nos permiten interactuar con la plataforma y sacar el máximo rendimiento de la información. Por un lado, cuenta con un potente motor de búsqueda, permite buscar por disciplina, por tipo de adjudicación, por fecha, etcétera. Y después, pues nos permite, por ejemplo, vincular los perfiles de los investigadores con las diferentes convocatorias, las diferentes oportunidades de financiación disponibles en nuestra plataforma para crear así alertas para nuestros investigadores para que reciban únicamente las oportunidades que son relevantes para sus áreas de investigación. Nos permite también guardar búsquedas dinámicas en formato calendario, muchísimas otras funcionalidades que las vamos a ver luego en detalle cuando Luke haga la demo. Comentaros, que lo he comentado al principio, pero un poquito más en detalle, que Exlibris es la empresa que adquirió en agosto de 2018 Research Professional. El impacto que esto tiene sobre Research Professional es que, por un lado, Exlibris, con una amplia trayectoria que ya conocéis como empresa tecnológica, pues lo que ha realizado es más inversión en el desarrollo del producto para mejorar todas estas funcionalidades. Y, por otro lado, también ha permitido la fusión de Research Professional, que siempre ha sido tradicionalmente una base de datos de oportunidades de financiación mucho más centradas en Europa. Podemos fusionar ahora toda esa base de datos con Pivot, que era otro producto con el que ya contaba Exlibris, que es también una base de datos de oportunidades de financiación mucho más centrada en Estados Unidos. Con la fusión de estos dos productos, lo que nos permite es ofrecer una cobertura mucho más global. Luke, next. Next. Yeah, you can go to next, Luke.
Yes, I have. Is it not shown?
Yeah, no. This is all functionalities that you will cover in your demo, so it's okay.
I see. Right. Got you.
Bien, respecto a nuestra cartera de clientes, comentaros que contamos con 360 clientes distribuidos por todo el mundo. Sí que es cierto que centralizados mayormente en Europa y en el Reino Unido por razones obvias, ¿no? Por lo que os comentaba que tradicionalmente Research Professional era una base de datos mucho más enfocada al ámbito europeo. Y también destacar este 99% de porcentaje de renovación, porque nos parece un hecho muy relevante que tiene que ver con lo que os comentaba antes, ¿no? De esta tarea conjunta entre la institución que suscribe y que se encarga pues, de promocionar el recurso entre sus investigadores para que lo utilicen, ¿no? Y para que sepan sacarle partido, y también pues, la parte en la que entramos también nosotros como proveedores para intentar ayudaros al máximo en esa tarea mediante formación y mediante las acciones que estén en nuestra mano realizar para mejorar el uso. Next slide, Luke. Bueno, aquí tenéis una muestra de nuestros clientes, algunos logos significativos. Como veis, la mayor parte son instituciones de investigación y universidades de diferentes países, que son como os comentaba, es multidisciplinar, con lo cual son de diferentes disciplinas. Lo único que tienen en común, básicamente, pues es que realizan actividad investigadora. Next slide, Luke. Aquí veis también otras instituciones, universidades que veíamos anteriormente, pues también contamos, por ejemplo, con Max Planck, con la European Commission y otro tipo de organismos que también suscriben Research Professional. Next. Y finalmente, ¿por qué suscribir Research Professional? Pues yo espero que cuando Luke haga la demo veáis mucho más claro cuáles son los beneficios y lo entendáis todo mucho mejor, pero yo para acabar, pues destacar que os permite elevar el perfil de investigación de vuestra institución. Existen pocos productos como Research Professional que lo que hacen es consolidar en un recurso pues información de infinidad de fuentes primarias, de instituciones financiadoras que de otra manera es muy difícil tener acceso. Si no tenéis un recurso como Research Professional, pues lo que tenéis que hacer, lo que entiendo que hacéis la mayoría, ¿no? Es ir a cada una de las fuentes primarias, buscar allí las convocatorias, filtrar, decidir si son relevantes para mi institución o no, comprobar la elegibilidad. Toda esta tarea que hacéis hoy en día es una tarea que Research Professional cuenta con un equipo de profesionales que lleva 25 años realizando y que os puede facilitar la vida de esta manera, proporcionándoos ya toda esta información organizada y disponible y buscable de una forma muy sencilla. Otro de los beneficios, porque nuestro servicio de noticias, ¿no? Que os permite manteneros informados y ayudaros a tomar decisiones estratégicas. Permite también, ya a nivel más administrativo de la oficina de investigación o de la institución, pues os permite apoyar a los investigadores fácilmente, enviándoles convocatorias e información relevantes de manera rápida y sencilla. Como os comentaba, es posible vincular los perfiles del investigador con las convocatorias que están disponibles en la base de datos, crear alertas para que ellos reciban periódicamente lo que se va publicando y que es de interés para ellos. También nos amplía el abanico de financiadores a tener en cuenta. Una de las cosas que vemos es que a veces tenemos por costumbre consultar los diferentes organismos con los que solemos trabajar, pero a menudo hay otras oportunidades de financiación que van más allá, que se nos escapan, que a lo mejor no sabemos que existen o no las solemos tener en cuenta y que a lo mejor aumentarían nuestras posibilidades de conseguir financiación para nuestros proyectos. Research Professional os permite manteneros al tanto de los plazos, cambios en los programas y políticas y os aporta conocimientos sobre políticas de investigación que son muy útiles para presentar vuestras solicitudes de financiación. También recordar lo que hemos hablado de todo este know-how que ponemos a vuestra disposición y que os puede ayudar a incrementar las posibilidades de éxito en las propuestas que presentéis. Y todo esto, pues lo que hace al final es ahorraros tiempo y mejorar la eficiencia en vuestra labor y en vuestras tareas del día a día. Pues esto es todo lo que yo quería mostraros en el día de hoy como introducción teórica, que entiendo que a nivel teórico todo suena muy bien, pero sí me gustaría dar paso a mi compañero Luke George, que él es quien os va a hacer la demo en vivo del producto y así podréis entender mejor cómo funciona y cuáles son los beneficios que os puede aportar. Así que doy paso a Luke. Luke, if you are ready, you can go ahead with the demo.
Yes. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, perfect.
All right, great. Thanks for that great introduction, Esther. So I'm going to now move on to actually demonstrating Research Professional for everyone attending. The rest of this will be in English, I'm sure you've explained. So hopefully everyone here can see what is the homepage of Research Professional. What I'm going to do now is just take you on a quick tour of the different parts of the site so that you get a very good idea of what Esther was talking about, and we can demonstrate some of the functionality to you so you can get an idea of how this would be used at your institutions. So just to reiterate some of the points that Esther mentioned earlier, I mean, this access is for absolutely everyone at your institution. So this homepage that you see in front of us here is what everyone will see when they go to researchprofessional.com at your institution. And of course, access can be set up via single sign-on, IP, and so forth. Everyone is eligible to set up their own account, and their name will appear in the top right-hand corner when they log in. So to begin with, let's start by having a look at the funding database. So the way we can jump straight into this is by using the burgundy box on the homepage here to search the database of research funding opportunities. There are two ways in which you can search. There is the simple search and the advanced search. The simple search is just an easy way for you or your researchers to jump in and find some relevant funding opportunities. You can start typing in a keyword. It could be, for example, like an award type, like fellowships. And you'll see here that the auto-suggester will attempt to predict what it is you're interested in. So you can see here that when I've typed in fellowships, it's saying, do you mean early career fellowships, pre-doctoral, mid-career, and so forth. And you can do the same for funders. You know, if I start typing the European Research Council, for example, you'll get a number of European funders pop up. And of course, we can also search disciplines. It can be quite broad or it can be quite specific. So if we take something quite specific like virology, you'll see here, as I'm typing, it's already coming up with some suggestions like the European Society for Clinical Virology or the discipline area of virology. So let's select that. Add it to the search. Of course, you can add more if you'd like. So I'm going to run the search now. And what we're going to see in a moment is funding opportunities related to this particular area. Now, this account has been set up. So everything popping up in this search results here, Spanish institutions are eligible to apply for. So we're getting a whole range of items down here. Of course, they are organized by earliest closing date first. You can see the closing date appears on the left-hand side here. Of course, you can change the order of how they appear, for example, by country or by type, etc. And the rest of the information we're seeing here is the name of the actual opportunity, the funders involved, and the maximum award amount if specified by the funder. Now, this basic information makes it easy for you just to browse through and just to have an idea if there's anything here that you might want more information on. Where we do have more information, there will be some small icons appearing. For instance, you see a couple up here. This is just letting you know that this particular funding opportunity is new. That's why the star is there. It requires a consortia, which is why the two people are here. And where you see these 3 sheets of paper, it will also just let you know that this particular opportunity is a recurring opportunity that's come around again. So we're trying to present all this information on this page here to make browsing this information easier for you. If you'd like more information, just select the title and you'll be taken through here to the call. Now, every call in our database is presented in the exact same format. So as Esther mentioned, we have over 22,000 calls in the database at the moment from 13,000 different funders. Each one of those calls is hand entered by our own funding editorial team here in London. So we have a team of, I'd say, roughly about 25 people, fluent in a number of different languages, all taking this information and filling it out in the required format, as we see here. Now, they will create a blurb. You can see the blurb appearing. The size of the blurb does depend on the amount of information and caveats that the call in question has. But as you scroll down, you'll also get information on the deadlines, on the eligibility profile. So we can see here that all European nations are eligible to apply for this particular funding call, what the call is about, and we'll always have a link to this particular call on the funder's own page, as well as any details like links to the application form and contact details as well. Now, the reason I mentioned the uniformity of these calls was because, as I'm sure some of you will have experienced, a number of funders present this information in a different way on the website. So it can be very time consuming to read through that different information and this format. So, the fact that all of this information is laid out in the same place in Research Professional, whether it's a call from Spain or a call from the European Union or a call from the US, it will always have the information in the same places. Now, of course, if you would like to interact with this call, there are a number of functions that allow you to do that. You can, for instance, download this in a number of different formats. If you'd like to download it in Microsoft or Excel, for instance, you can email it to colleagues. So share this with absolutely anyone at your institution, or you can bookmark it. So save it into a folder. You can either create a new folder or add it to an existing one. And again, it depends on whether you're a research support staff or a researcher yourself. You might have a folder for your particular research group, or you might be adding them to particular folders for faculties or such, or just for yourself. So those you can interact with these opportunities from within them. Of course, you can also interact with them several times. So again, we try to make it as easy as possible and as flexible as possible for people to digest this information. So if you want to bookmark several or download several, you can do that. There is the option of using the advanced search. I'll quickly show you it just by jumping over to the advanced search. I do think this is where Research Professional comes into its strength. Obviously, out of all those thousands of calls we have, the advanced search really allows you to narrow down the areas in which you are interested in. And of course, we've developed this working with a number of universities across Europe. So a lot of the functions that you see in the more options down here were developed because of feedback from institutions that we worked with. So just to give you an idea, if I was interested in computing, I might go to the discipline index here and start searching for computer science. And of course, by just typing the word computer here, you'll see the auto suggester comes up with a range of different terms in which I can select. Of course, I could adjust that slightly to get different results, or I could browse. You know, it might be that I'm interested in a particular area within computing. So I might open up the hierarchy here, collapse the fields as you see. As I click them, they get more specific the further we go down. So as I'm opening up computing and mathematics, we can see underneath that we have computer science. And underneath that, the terms get more and more specific the further we go down. So I might be interested in artificial intelligence. And you can see here, artificial intelligence appears as one of the subterms. I can then open that up and get very specific within what I'm searching for. So underneath our AI here, we have terms such as autonomous vehicles, artificial life, knowledge-based systems, you know, and I can select as many of these as I want. We've worked with institutions to develop this thesaurus of terms. It is very useful for bringing up those relevant terms within, within your interest area. And you obviously can search either exactly or generally. And I won't go into too much detail about how these work now, but essentially you're searching very specifically for terms like so. So funding opportunities that relate to these specific areas, for instance, there may only be 11, or you can broaden it out to include some non-specific discipline funding calls like the ERC grants, like the Marie Curie fellowships, or other funders that are open that someone within AI intelligence may be interested in applying for. So we've got 600 items coming up now. Of course, using other criterions, you can bring that number down. We might want to search by a particular country. So for instance, if we're just looking for European Union calls, we might say, okay, let's have a look at calls within these areas just from the European Union. And we have here a number of different programs, stuff from the European Space Agency to Eureka, Aeronet, obviously the framework programs displaying down below. And they make up 60 of those. Could even ask it to remove EU calls. If you feel quite comfortable with your knowledge of EU calls, we might even look outside. So changing that, seeing what else we can see. Of course, you can use some other options down here. I may just add one other, which is specifying that Spanish institutions are eligible for direct funding. So I'm just going to select that and add that to the call. So just bring the number down a bit more. But of course, you can add a number of others if you'd like. So whether you want to specify whether the person, the researcher you're looking for themselves is Spanish, or whether you'd like to look at the types of funders we have. So whether it's a private company or a charity you're looking for, you can go down and specify further the types of information you're after. But once you've got a call, a search like I have here with these items, you can save it to your account if you'd like. So for instance, I might just save this as a general AI call. And of course, once I do that, it has the option to save this either as a search to my profile, or save and switch on a weekly funding alert. Now, everything within Research Professional can be shared. If you would like to share this with a colleague, the URLs are permanent as long as you don't delete the search. So if you have research groups or any colleagues there that you think might benefit from the results we see down here, you only have to copy and paste the URL at the top here in an email, send it to a colleague, and essentially they can click that link and bring up the items we see here. Now, they don't even need an account to view the items. If they're within the university's IP range, they just get taken straight to the results. And of course, it's worth mentioning as well that the searches are dynamic. So when you click on that link, you'll only be seeing the latest items down there. So any that have expired will drop off, and any new ones that have been added will be there. And you can see on the right-hand side, you can have as many saved searches as you want. I've got quite a few appearing here. Now, of course, I mentioned that I switched on a weekly funding alert. What the database will now do is email you when any new calls are added to the database that fit the criteria I've specified here. Now, this does not mean you're going to get 457 items in your alert. Of course, that is all calls that are currently open. It's just giving you the updates. So any new calls released this week, any let's say changes to call deadline adjustments, important information updates, they will appear in your weekly funding alert. So essentially, if you build an alert within the system, you don't have to keep going in, running the search to see what's new, because Research Professional will update you when any new calls are added. So if you go in and set up these searches, whether as a researcher or a research support staff supporter, you don't necessarily, like I say, have to go in and use it all the time, because you're going to get those updates. And let's say you have several searches in several areas, you'll get those sent to you in one email on the Friday, unless you specify otherwise. So you'll get your update in one neat email with all the results of all your different alerts. So again, it's very useful to think about ways in which you could potentially utilize that. Of course, there are other functions in which we try to integrate Research Professional into your other systems and your other workflows. So one of the very popular tools we have is a funding calendar. This essentially is displaying the results of my search here in a calendar view. So if I just bring this up, in a moment, you'll be able to see what the calendar looks like. So this again, can be shared by anyone at the institution. So if you want to copy links to this calendar and share it with anyone in the institution, that is possible to subscribers. Obviously, you can control the calendar at the top here. If you want more information on any of the calls down here, as you can see, they are falling on the deadline, the funders deadline, that is. You can just click them and you'll get a little pop-up, which will take you back to the database for more information. And of course, you can also adjust these deadlines using annotations and so forth, changing just by simply adjusting the deadlines these fall on. One of the most useful features of the calendar is you can download it into your Outlook, Gmail, or whatever email desktop client you are using at the institution. So if you want to port these directly into your calendar, you just need to hit the download button or the subscribe button at the top. The subscribe button will automatically update. So let's say you've got a number of funders that you want to track. You can quite simply set up a search with those funders, hit the subscribe button, and you will have a live calendar within your Gmail or Outlook of all the funding calls from those specified funders automatically sorted into that calendar. So it's a very popular service that is used by our clients. Of course, other things you can do is, for instance, users can express interest in calls. You can leave annotations. So these are notes on calls. This is something that administrators can do. So if you'd like to leave additional information for your researchers, there is the opportunity of leaving deadlines, that's internal deadlines, notes, contacts, or flagging as an institutional priority. So again, lots of options there for you in leaving additional information. And of course, this information can also be shared to the Our Institution page, which I will show you in a moment as we go through the parts of the site. Now, I don't know if Esther mentioned, but you are able to ask questions. So if any of you at any point during this demonstration want to ask questions about the funding database or anything that myself or Esther has mentioned before, please pop them in the chat box and we'll get to them at the end of the session. So, you know, pop them in now while you think them, and we'll address them at the end when we review those questions. So I'd just like to move on and just quickly talk about our news service. As Esther gave a very good presentation on an introduction to it, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail of the coverage. I just want to say that this is all original content. This is our journalists who are based in several places around the world, and they are essentially covering research policy news on a global scale. So working out what the key themes are and so forth. And the information is presented quite similarly to other news sites that I think you would have used before. They're broken up into regions at the top here. So for instance, we can have a look at Europe, and within Europe, you'll see other subheadings and themes, such as innovation in Europe, regulation, and so forth, including news from particular countries along the top here as well. So if you are interested in, let's say, for example, regulation in Europe, you can go in here, select the particular area, and you'll get items related to this. And of course, you can also select email me updates for these. I'm just going to show you what a article looks like down here. So again, this can be shared online and so forth. So if you want to share the links to these, you're more than welcome to do that. And they can obviously be bookmarked, emailed, and shared with anyone within the institution. And these news articles are updated every day. So we have journalists covering this news, research policy and practice every day. So if you'd like to be updated on these areas, you can set yourself daily or weekly updates. However, one of our very popular publications is something we call Research Europe. It's a fortnightly roundup of all of the key research themes and areas across the European continent. And it's very, very easy to read. We've now made it even easier because it's now available as an online flip book. So you can view it like so in this format. And you can also download it as a PDF. So this is definitely enjoy for some of the senior staff that maybe don't have time to read daily news. It gives you a very good roundup of what's happened over the last 2 weeks and what you should look out for in the future in everything related to research. So again, it's available to you through our news site. So just to continue on the theme of our news, we also have a slightly separate part of our news we call Funding Insight. Again, Esther mentioned this in slight detail earlier in the presentation. Essentially, it is also editorial content created by our journalists. The difference is this has a slightly different focus in that its purpose is to give you more information that could help you be more successful in either applying for grants or putting in policy to better prepare yourself for the application of certain grants. And of course, it's done with the help of loads of guest editors and correspondents who have essentially experts in the field that have come to help create this content. So Funding Insight is broken up into these sub-regional headings. So you can, for instance, go into the social sciences and get news related to that. What you will get is themes like top PIs interviews, so letting experts in these top PIs tell you about their career or what they've done that's led to their success. We also look at winning proposals. So for instance, we're looking here at the University of Groningen in the Netherlands here, an ERC proposal that went successfully. We'll also look at opportunity profiles, so studying particular opportunities like the Marie Curie fellowships. And we also have a ton of know-how as well, created by consultants, research offices, what they've done well, and so forth. And you can see some of the themes on my screen here. We've got working with early career researchers. So, for instance, writing a paper, a guide for early career researchers. We have themes such as ethical approval, dealing with data protection, GDPR, and successful things that the research office have done. So we can see here that the University of Turku here have worked with us and done a article about open research and open access. So there's a lot of information here. I won't be able to show it all to you today, but yeah, we're very happy to answer any questions about this and obviously get people's feedback on that. The other side of Funding Insight is our awards database. Again, Esther did mention this in the introductory presentation. Essentially, what we are doing is creating an ever-expanding database of previous winners of research funding. So if we can here, for instance, search for a particular PI for an award year or a funder, it should be mentioned here that obviously we do not have as many funders here as we do in the database, because obviously we're having to approach these funders directly and request this information. But this list is ever growing, and of course, if you are interested in a particular funder, you can select it from this list, or you could have a look at a particular institution. So if I just, for instance, I might just start typing the word Madrid, and you can see here we've got a number of institutions here popping up that we can select from. So I might, for example, select the Autonomous University of Madrid and run a search here, and we're going to get some items popping up of previous won research, and you can see some of these coming here from the European Research Council. So you've got the name of the PI, funder, the amount, and of course you can go in here and get some more information. So we'll have information about the duration of that, the abstract where available will link to the original call, and of course we'll also be able to link back into the database. This is where I think this award database really shows its strength, is if we're looking at this particular starting grant from the ERC, if someone within your institution comes across this and thinks, oh, this is a particular interesting call, maybe I'd like to know who won this before. When we have this information, it appears on the right-hand side under a tab called Previous Winners. By selecting this, what you will get is a list of all the previous winners of that particular institution. You can see here, again, the name of the PI, the title of the proposal and so forth, the amount that was won. So people can have a look at these and think, oh, where am I at the same sort of career level as these people here? And you also get some statistics. Now, these statistics give you a counter of who is winning these particular grants, these starting grants from the ERC, the range of the award. So you can see here the average is about 1.4 million, but of course they range from about 900,000 to nearly 1.8 million. So all this information is just trying to give you additional information to help you make informed decisions about what to apply for. So let's move on to a brand new part of the database, something we call conferences and papers invited. This is brand new, literally only released a couple of months ago. So it is something that we're very keen to show off, and obviously we will be working to develop it even further over the coming months and the rest of the year. But essentially, the focus of conferences and papers is slightly different to some of the other parts of the site. This is a database which is essentially advertising information about upcoming calls for papers and deadlines regarding conferences and special issues and scholarly journals. And the reason we've created this is essentially it's a way for researchers to publicize their research. So this is opportunities for them to present, publish, and create impact from their work. So you can go in and browse by specific areas here. So for example, language or literature, and you'll get some particular abstract deadlines and manuscript deadlines coming up down below. You can also use the advanced search if you'd like, and look for particular events in countries or deadlines or conferences and so forth. So there's a lot you can search for down here, and it's something we've developed for everyone with research professionals. So this has been thrown in for everyone who currently uses Research Professional. It's just another way in which we're adding value to our already comprehensive service. So finally, I'd just like to show you our institution page. There's a lot in which you can do here, so I won't be able to show you everything. But the idea here is it's a place where you, the research administrators and research support staff, can support your researchers by creating content for them using these workgroups and pages. So just to give you an idea, this homepage here is obviously seen by everyone at the institution. You can create some basis for calls. So if, for example, Interreg is particularly important, you might post a search for that, as well as framework programs. But the work groups on the right-hand side allow you to post more relevant content for either researchers within that particular field. So you can see here, I might have an administrator, John here, looking after my Faculty of Arts and Humanities, which will post content, links to other areas, specific searches, maybe calls that are high priority for the faculty to be focusing on, I might highlight, as well as news articles and so forth. So there's a lot you can share here with researchers. And if you can see, my faculty here also has departments, so I can get even more specific. So whether I want to have departments or maybe even content for specific research groups, I can go in and create content for these particular departments. There is obviously a range of ways in which you can share information. I'm just going to pop over to the Faculty of Civil Industrial Engineering. As well as posting content on these pages, we can be quite proactive. We can, for instance, embed these pages and these searches into your online web pages. If you'd like to do that, you can create alerts so that everyone within the Faculty of Civil and Industrial Engineering here in RP gets automated alerts based on searches you've created. So if you want to create email alerts for groups of users, this is a great way to do it. So slightly more proactive than the more reactive way of creating content. And finally, you can also create magazines. These are ways of creating specific issues like newsletters within Research Professional that could be for either faculties, for everyone at the institution, or for specific research groups. It's up to you. These essentially allow you to compile information from within Research Professional and external. So you might want to link to external pages. Here, for instance, you might flag in internal information like grant writing workshops, people that have won information, any sort of internal information you find useful. And then you can break up funding calls and news articles into different headings. Again, it's just another way in which you can personalize this information. A lot of this information and a lot of this functionality, I should say, is just trying to get a lot of this info directly to your researchers in a timely and efficient manner. So we're just bringing in these functions to help you disseminate this information throughout your institution. Of course, you may not use all these functions. You may decide to use just a handful, but we have a dedicated support team here that will run you through these and essentially try to find out the ones that work best for the structures of your institution. And again, I haven't had time to go through it today, but you can delegate some of these resources to faculty support staff or other keen researchers. So there's plenty of things you can do to monitor the usage and so forth within the system. So I'm going to stop there because I've been talking for quite a long time and I've shown you a lot of information. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint here just to let Esther maybe say the final word and then we can also look and see if there are any questions.
Okay, yeah, thanks a lot, Luke, for the overview and the demo of the product. It was really interesting. So we'll continue in Spanish then. Bueno, ya Luke ha acabado aquí su demo. No sé si lo he dicho al principio, pero ahora tenemos unos minutitos para preguntas y respuestas que si tenéis micro, estupendo. Si no, podéis dejarlas en la cajita del chat o en las Q&A que veis en el panel de la derecha de la pantalla. Entonces esperamos un par de minutitos a ver si hay preguntas antes de finalizar la sesión. Sí hay una primera pregunta, que es que realmente hemos olvidado mencionarlo, sobre la posibilidad de tener un trial. La respuesta es que sí. Es posible abrir un periodo de acceso gratuito durante, voy a preguntar a Luke porque no estoy segura del periodo, pero sí que es posible. Luke, can you remind me of the period of trials you can offer? Is it 3 weeks?
So yes, as standard, we would offer a trial of 3 weeks. We would normally get all the information together beforehand, so we would need to discuss the setup for that trial, and of course, people would want to know information like quotation and so forth beforehand. But as long as we've got all that information, the trials are 3 weeks long.
Okay. Ok, de acuerdo, pues sí, confirmado que son 3 semanas, con lo cual si alguno de vosotros está interesado, solo tenéis que contactarnos y estableceríamos este periodo de prueba. De momento, déjame ver, que creo que hay una aquí que no veo. De acuerdo. Preguntan cuáles son las opciones de licencia anual y su coste. So this question, Luke, is about the options of subscription and pricing. I don't know if you want to take this one.
Sure. Yeah. No. Of course. So so we price a research professional according to the external research income of the institution in question. So essentially, what we need to do is get the information from the institution in question. Roughly how much annually they're bringing in from competitive research funds. So just to reiterate, this is competitive research funding on an annual basis. So we're not interested in any sort of money you're getting through kind of contracts with companies or any sort of non-competitive governmental funding. This is solely research funding that was competitive. But once we have that figure, we can then compare it with our banding, and we'd be able to present you with quotation options. So and then that is essentially what affects the price of the service.
Ok, thanks, Luke. Sí, bueno, como os comentaba Luke, traduzco un poco por si hiciera falta, que no lo sé. En cualquier caso, lo que se tiene en cuenta para el cálculo del precio es el volumen de financiación externa que conseguís anualmente en concurrencia competitiva. Únicamente en proyectos que os hayáis presentado y que habéis recibido en concurrencia competitiva, no otro tipo de fondos. Esta información nos la facilitáis vosotros y una vez lo tenemos, pues lo cotejamos con los rangos que tenemos establecidos en nuestro sistema y se calcula el precio en base a esto. No se tienen en cuenta otro tipo de información como número de investigadores o demás. Esto no se tiene en cuenta. No veo más preguntas de momento. De nada. Otra pregunta. ¿Es posible tener una licencia de uso para un instituto de investigación universitario o es necesario a nivel de universidad? Se la voy a trasladar a Luke, en todo caso, aunque me imagino la respuesta. Luke, I have a question about whether it is possible to subscribe only for a research institute within a university instead of subscribing for the whole university.
So the answer is it depends. I mean, the reason we tend to obviously deal only with institutions themselves. Some universities themselves. Obviously, if an institution is quite what's the word? Separated from a university, so it has its own mandate, it has its own budget, it has its own researchers. Then it's something we could look at. and it just depends on the nature of the institution in question, because what we wouldn't want is obviously people who were meant to have access to the institute getting access to the service essentially. But what I would say is obviously we would still do the same process. So we would look at the external research income of the institute, and obviously that would adjust the price. So it would be cheaper for the institute to subscribe, but it wouldn't be cheaper. It would still be cheaper for the institute. It would work out more cost effective if the university was to subscribe for every institute and faculty. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I get it.
It's a very kind of odd thing. I mean, I think the best thing to do is in these very kind of unique situations is for the person in question to contact you directly with details about their institute, and then we can see if we can do that.
Yeah. Sí, por lo que comenta Luke, lo mejor es hacerlo, bueno, veo que has entendido, ¿no? Pero en cualquier caso, lo vamos viendo mejor por caso, porque hay diferentes tipologías de institutos, de universidades y de formas de funcionar. La situación ideal para nosotros es hacerlo para toda la universidad. También es lo más cost effective, pero rentable para el cliente, ¿no? Pues porque da acceso, es algo más caro, pero en comparación con lo que recibe, pues digamos que es mucho más rentable, pero lo podemos ver caso por caso. Otro tema que a mí se me ocurre, que Luke no ha comentado, es también el tema del acceso IP, ¿no? Que a veces es complicado, porque si como instituto disponéis de un rango IP propio, es mucho más sencillo. Si el rango IP es compartido, pues es más complicado. Pero en cualquier caso, si te parece, lo que podemos hacer es hablamos después offline y comentamos la situación y vemos a ver cómo se puede hacer para tener un presupuesto para vuestro instituto únicamente. Pues no veo más preguntas de momento. Así que, bueno, son las 12, acabamos en hora perfectamente, así que solo me queda agradeceros a todos vuestra asistencia, agradecer también a Luke. Luke, thank you for all your help and for the demo.
Not a problem.
Y nada, desearos a todos que paséis un buen día, que sigamos en contacto. Os enviaremos después la presentación y os enviaremos también la grabación de este webinar, que lo hemos grabado, para que tengáis toda la información y a partir de aquí pues seguimos en contacto y si hiciera falta pues hacer algún trial, preparar alguna oferta, tener alguna reunión presencial, lo veo difícil ya con tanto coronavirus, pero virtual o como haga falta y estamos en contacto. Pues muchísimas gracias a todos y que tengáis muy buen día.